we have to stop talking about Kashin Koji versus Naruto. For some reason, the timeline over these past couple weeks has been filled with people arguing that pre-awakening Koji stands a chance against Naruto, and some are even saying he would beat him, which is crazy. Keep in mind, we are talking about full power, not Baryon mode obviously, Hokage Naruto, and Kashin Koji before the time skip, so no prescience Shinjutsu to be very clear. So as the self-proclaimed smartest, best S-tier Ultra Instinct Boruto guy with the brain power relative to Shikamaru, I was like, hey, let me make a video on this and really go through the matchup and arguments here to figure out if this is actually a close fight, or is this the one-sided stomp our bias leads us to believe. I'll start with the Koji side of this and kind of give a rundown and overall gist of how this even became a topic of discussion and why people say Koji would win, with the arguments used to support it, and frankly, there isn't actually too much to support this other than a few things within the series to say so. This might sound out of left field at first considering the topic, but Delta versus Naruto is a huge part of the Koji scaling because herself and Ashiki is what's used to scale Koji to Naruto's level. So without getting into any Delta versus Momoshiki talks and really limiting the Delta versus Naruto explanation, because I do have a video in the works completely breaking down and going over that fight because it's one of the most misunderstood and misinterpreted fights in all of Boruto and Naruto. I'm going to say this now, and if you don't agree, feel free to express yourself in the comments down below, but Delta is very relative to full power Naruto in taijutsu. Naruto says he's going all out, Delta is obviously going all out, and Naruto wasn't blatantly overpowering Delta, but he did have the advantage in taijutsu, not enough for him to actually do any meaningful damage, and he wasn't beating the brakes out of her, meaning they were relative and close-ish to being equal to another, with Delta obviously being the weaker of the two, yet still being able to land attacks on him. The reason this is so important is because many people like to say the narrative and story puts Koji above Delta in superiority both in terms of the Kara ranks and in power, which in my opinion is false. But for the sake of this video not being a Koji versus Delta video, I will say this for now, and then later on if you guys really want it or if this whole part gets taken completely the wrong way, I'll upload talking about Koji versus Delta. But for now, if you think Delta is stronger than Koji, then it's pretty obvious that Koji would lose to this Naruto since, you know, Delta lost to him. But if you are under the impression that Koji is stronger than Delta, none of this previous part matters, and I'll just skip past it and talk about strictly Koji versus Naruto feats and statements. I'm gonna start with these couple of statements from Ashiki and Amato that people often like to use as some end-all be-all to this debate, but they aren't really the defeater many people think they are. The exact ones I'm talking about are Ashiki saying it's highly likely that he, Amato, intends to have the Hokage and Uchiha dispose of me, and Amato saying Kashin Koji lacks the power to take down Ashiki. You two, Naruto and Sasuke, are the only ones who might have a chance. People like to use these and basically say it's blatantly stated that Naruto's over Koji, and that's it when it's not that simple. These don't actually mean too much for a couple of reasons. For one, the wording of Amato intending to use them doesn't automatically mean they are stronger since we saw what happened, they got demolished. Granted, that was a Jubi-amped Jigen, but I'll get to that part later. And secondly, Amato flat out said them two might have a chance, which isn't concrete they are stronger, so all these statements really mean are that Naruto and Sasuke together are the strongest in the verse, so if anyone were to be able to beat Ashiki, it's them. If you're ever talking about this matchup where those statements come up and someone uses that as their cold hard proof that Naruto is instantly undeniably above Koji with literally nothing else to back those up, just let them know that means duck diddly, nothing. They are useless if that's the only argument they have. For the actual Koji arguments to scale him to Naruto, we have Koji being confident he could easily beat Delta, someone who went toe-to-toe with full power Naruto, and then proceed to kill Jigen and take on Ishiki, and then some say Koji performed better against Ishiki than Naruto did in a 1v1 scenario. I've used this argument over a year ago when I talked about something similar revolving around Koji, but him being confident he could beat Delta, Jigen, and take on Ashiki doesn't automatically mean he can do so. I can be confident I can fight and win against 15 polar bears at once, but that doesn't mean I can, and Koji is someone who, in my opinion, has a very poor sense of other people's strength. Hence him thinking he could take on all three of these people yet can't. and him not even being aware he was set up to die against Ishiki when he thought his role was to unalive the Otsutsuki. If you read chapter 47, Amato says they were successful at dragging out Ishiki and that Koji served his function, meaning that Koji's importance and role was to get Ishiki out, and Naruto says that he felt like Koji was fighting to actually unalive Ishiki, and then the next chapter, Koji himself says that he's quote-unquote settling things here and now, to which Ishiki has his whole dialogue saying that Koji is a fool who doesn't understand that he was set up to lose to Ishiki from the very start, which he was unaware of. All of this is more than enough information and proof that Koji has a very poor judgment of other people's strength and his own. So all of those self-made statements and delusional confidence he's had up until that point cannot be taken as 100% fact. I would also like to mention Koji's way of dealing with Delta could be hinted at by him just sealing her with the frog gulp jutsu, because it does look like he was about to use the same set of hand signs against Delta as he was against Konohamaru and Team 7. The actual Ishiki fight is another thing people will say upscales Koji because of the Sage Mode section where he blocks a punch and then goes hit for hit against Ishiki until eventually getting beat out, but this back and forth taijutsu exchange is the only notable thing I want to talk about here, and it's quite simple honestly. Otsutsukis have a tendency to be cocky and look down on their opponents and not show their full strength. This trait is very apparent with Ishiki referring to everyone as a lesser species and failures, and even in the very start of the Koji fight we can see Ishiki not trying or going all out against him, and while this is very blatant in the start, it still continues throughout the whole battle as Ishiki sees Koji, a member of a lesser species, a fool, a pitiful sacrificial pawn, as someone who has zero chance of beating him, so he doesn't feel the need of going all out and using all of that power that will destroy the body he only has a very limited amount of time with. So at this point, I debunked the Koji easily beating Delta and Jigen and taking on Ishiki, I debunked Koji's strength judgment, and I've talked about how his Sage Mode feat of fighting relative to Ishiki isn't impressive because the guy wasn't going all out. So now let me talk about Naruto and all the way he stated and scales above Koji to really hammer this home. Before fighting Jigen, Koji makes the assumption that Naruto and Sasuke pushed Jigen far enough to where he expended too much chakra to where he couldn't retrieve Kawaki from inside Konoha, and called it a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and said, I might actually be able to take Jigen down myself. Kashin Koji didn't know about the 10 Tails amp Jigen had against Naruto and Sasuke either, which obviously wasn't a thing when he fought him, which ties into the next point of Naruto and Sasuke fought against a stronger Jigen who, like I said, had absorbed 10 Tails chakra before fighting. Now, there's a lot of controversy around what this amp was, but the way I see it is, Jigen takes chakra from the Jubi in order to be able to use more of his power and to stop the body from breaking apart from Ishiki's aura. So without absorbing the 10 Tails, he couldn't use as much power and strength as he did. Pretty simple. Even when it comes to fighting Ishiki, Koji was more comfortable in Naruto's power to take him down than his own, and no matter what you want to say, at the end of the day, Koji had prep time and a direct counter to Jigen and still had to wait until he was below 10% chakra in order to make his move. While Naruto, with the help of Sasuke, fought a 100% chakra, Jubi amped Jigen to almost complete chakra fatigue and body breakdown with no prep time, knowledge, or heads up. To me, this isn't a debate, argument, or a contentious topic because it's pretty clear that full power 6-path Sage Mode Hokage Naruto would beat Kashin Koji damn near every time they fight. There's a few things I didn't mention that people like to bring up to force this Koji over Delta meta, but I'm gonna save that for my own Koji versus Delta video since it does seem like a pretty interesting matchup with an actual inverse possibility. So hit subscribe if you want to see that. Hey, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like on the video and comment down below what you think of this and who would win. Are you a Koji Glazer or Naruto Nostalgia Merchant? And let me know what other videos you'd like to see. I upload weekly and I have a Discord, so join up. It's linked in the description. And yeah, like always, have a good day.